Welcome, welcome, welcome once again for the Feel Good Show with moi, Dr. Kalifa. I am so happy to have you back here again this week. I am going to start with our blessing, and I'm going to ask God, the higher power, to bless us today, to shine His light on our presentation today, to bless us so that you can benefit as much as humanly possible from the information that you're going to receive today and from everything that we're doing, that you can enjoy yourself, have some fun, and get some serious stuff in, and to bless me and the place that we're in so that I can deliver the information that I have been instructed to bring you today. Okay, so I today actually I'm going to continue from where we left off last week because you remember I promised you that I was going to talk a bit more about the subject, which was the role of food on our children. And I think I also talked about the baby in the womb and how you can actually determine how that child's diet develops and what they grow up to desire by feeding yourself as a mom while the baby's in the womb, and also being careful to continue to feed that child nutritious foods when they are out of the womb. And I did show you last week how to make a quick baby food so you don't have to depend on anything in the shops. Because remember, even if they say it's natural, it cannot be totally natural because it has to have shelf life. And if it's in a tin or in a plastic or whatever, that's going to affect it also. So what I'm going to do this week, I am going to talk to you about the role of nutrition on learning and behavior. This is for children, of the young children. Yes. So, uh, role of nutrition. Yeah. We talked about the unborn child. Yes. And you can train that child to adopt the right kind of diet by feeding it that in the womb. And we talked about the how aware the fetus is right from a very, very early stage in the womb. So, so that you don't take any chances, start before, get mom healthy, get dad healthy if you have that opportunity to do so before you decide to conceive. And if you can't do that, then once you know that you're conceiving, I suggest that you start to make sure that you're taking in the right types of food to ensure that that baby get the best, the very best of everything. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to take that a little further this week and show you how, talk to you a bit more about what role that the diet has on the child as they're growing up. So what's the format of my show? The format is normally I will start with, as we're doing, and I will give you some tips and prepare a recipe. And if you want to follow me with the recipe, you can actually go to Sickness to Success link in bio that you see up there on the screen, and you can click on send me the recipe. I think it's or send me the ingredients, and I will send that to you so that you can follow along as I'm doing it each week. Yeah, so you can get all your ingredients and follow along with me, and to try it. You never know, it would be quite interesting to do that. And the tips that I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you tips as I go along, which will relate to certain degenerative diseases. Could be pain, how to prevent or reduce pain. It could be how to keep the blood pressure balanced. All those types of things I give you tips on as you go along. Yeah. So um, yeah, so that's the format. And then once I've done the recipe, we taste it. I say we because I'm hoping that you're going to be doing it with me. We taste it just to make sure that it's tasting good. So far, it's been pretty good. And and after that, I'm going to do the talk. And then once we've done that, I'm going to, after the food, I'm going to talk to you about the nutritional value of the food that we're preparing and how it relates to the rainbow, so you can know which rainbow colors actually does what. Yes. Like I said last week, if you make sure that when you go shopping, you're covering the rainbow, you will be pretty safe in getting everything that the body needs to be in optimum health. Okay, so yes, I've talked about the talk, and at the end, I will end the program with a meditation session for you to take part in. Okay, so like I said, what I'm sharing with you are recipes that I have shared with hundreds of my clients who have gone on to reverse degenerative diseases on my programs. I do at the moment, 3-month program, and there's an entry level program, which is 6 weeks. And I do a high level program as well. And if you want to get on those programs, and if you have degenerative diseases, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, heart problems, prostate issues, fibroids, endometriosis, the list goes on, strokes and um, uh, high blood pressure. Yes, the list goes on and on. If you want to, if you are suffering from any of those diseases and you want to reverse that, you want to get rid of the pain, you want to get rid of the pills, you want to get rid of the fatigue, the mental and physical degeneration, the looking forward to just more and more pills, more and more disease in your life, and not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because for one, you believe that you have to manage most of these diseases and they cannot be cured. That is not true. I can tell you that for a fact, because my clients, as long as they go through the programs and do what I instruct them to do, they reverse their diseases. Okay, be it diabetes, be it high blood pressure, and so forth. They will reverse those diseases. So where am I? Where am I? Oh, yes, yes. So the next thing I'm going to do, before I do that, for those of you who don't know who I am Dr. Kalifa, and I'm a holistic health and nutrition minister and doctor. I have helped hundreds of people over the past going on to 3 decades. I know I don't look it, but I am. 70 is just a couple of few months away. So I have helped hundreds of people to reverse these degenerative diseases and taught them how to live a healthy life without pills, without pain, without fatigue, without constant worry about the future, worry about finances, because it costs so much for all these pills and for all the operations and the tests, etc., without all of that, so that they can live a better than normal life, because they know how to prevent disease. Okay, so That is me. That is what I do. And let me just mention very quickly here the academy. I have put an academy together where I teach people to do what I do. Yeah, this is coming from a totally natural perspective. I do not use medicines. I do not use drugs, and this is teaching you from a total natural holistic perspective. And when I say holistic, I'm meaning that we're looking at the body as a whole. We're looking at the body, mind, and spirit. We're not just looking to um, to reverse the disease, because I do not treat symptoms. Yeah? If you get rid of the cause, there can be no symptoms. So this is what I teach you to do in the academy. So if you're interested in learning how to do what I do, then please go to the Sickness to Success link in bio, and you can either have a chat with me, a free 15-minute discovery chat, or you can book an appointment with me, and I will get back in touch with you and I can answer your questions. Or you can call me on the number on the screen, or send me an email to my www.drkalifacenter.com. Dr. Kalifa Center at gmail.com. So you can get in touch with me, okay? And I encourage you to do that. I've also now launched the ministry, which is going to be taking on persons who are in dire straits financially. I mean, in real trouble, and they cannot afford to pay for anything to heal themselves, even the medications and things. So there are certain criteria, obviously, that people have to meet. But if you'd like to know more about that and put your name down on the waiting list for that also, then you're welcome to do that. The same way, go to the link in bio and click on the discovery chat, or the consultation, or email or call me. Okay, you're welcome to do that. Let me see if there's anything I've forgotten to tell you. Oh, I've been doing this for over 2 decades, and like I said, I have helped many, many, many people to reverse degenerative diseases, including neurological issues like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, etc. So get in touch with me. If you're tired of the pills and the pain, if you're tired of it all, just get in touch with me and we can go from there. Okay? So, like, share, and subscribe. Yes, you think I know that by now. I know that off by heart. But do like, subscribe, and share the link here. We're only in YouTube today, unfortunately, but I'll have that fixed. And the videos that are not gone to Instagram, I'll attempt to get those over there as well. And I'm looking to start, because the equipment that I used to do the Instagram one wasn't working very well. So I think it's back to normal now. So hopefully next week I'll be back on Instagram as well. And also check me out on LinkedIn. Yes, check out my page on LinkedIn. We've been working on that and it's looking really good now. So check that out as well. Okay, so let me see. Last week, like I said, I talked to you about how diet affects the baby in the womb, and the chemicals and even the words we speak and the thoughts we have actually have a profound effect on that child in the womb, the unborn child. And we talked about how that child in the womb can be trained to adopt a healthy diet. Yes? It's not hard to do. And if you really want your child to have a head start out there, because out there now, it's more competitive. There's so much more out there for this children nowadays, for them to come up against than ever before in history. So you can give your child a head start by training them in the womb. Yes, training them in the womb, giving them, but through yourself, mom, giving them what they need to be as healthy mentally and physically and spiritually as possible. So I promised last week that I'd take it a little further this week and give you a presentation. Now, this presentation is one I used to give in schools many years ago. It is still very relevant today because a lot of the things that were happening back then are still happening today. So this one is called The Role of Nutrition on Your Child's Learning and Behavior. Okay, so give me a moment. Actually, no, I'm going to make the food first. Ty. So it's a good job I've got my little notes here, isn't it? All right. So I am going to make you, remember I said to you, I was going to show you a raw recipe. And the reason that I've chosen this particular raw recipe, this is a raw soup. Yes, let me take this up a bit. Yes, this is a raw soup. And the reason why I've chosen this is because not only is it full of goodness, but it's something that you can feed your young baby, your young child as well. I've got a minimum of of seasonings in this, but it doesn't need a lot of seasoning. And we're just going to do this in the blender. Okay, this is a raw blended soup. And this is, let me show you the ingredients here. Let me take this down so you can see that. Let me show you the ingredients. It's a carrot and pumpkin soup. And you can see there you have a sweet potato here. You have carrots. That's about 3 or 4 carrots. That's one medium-sized sweet potato. And you have a piece of pumpkin there. And these are the seasonings. I've got a sprig of thyme, which is a fresh thyme. I've also got fresh scallion, or you might want to call this spring onion because it looks more like spring onion than scallion. And we have some garlic there. And I'm going to put a pinch of sea salt and a little of this all natural veggie season combo, which I think I introduced you to it last week. And then I've got some nutritional yeast, which I'm going to sprinkle on it before eating it, because this has a kind of nice cheesy flavor, and plus it is high in fiber and also B vitamins. Okay, so let us go over to the blender. Where are you, blender? Okay, let me put everything in. Let me put some water in first. Okay, so I've got the water there. And let me just give my hand another little rinse before I start that. Okay, so I've got a little piece of Scotch bonnet pepper here. And what I've done actually, I put less seasoning than I would if I were cooking it. Because when you're cooking it, when you're blending it and you're blending it raw, it tends to, the seasoning have a tendency to be very strong. So you want to put, if you're doing it this way, you want to put about half the amount of seasoning. That's one scallion or spring onion, and I've got two cloves of garlic. And this is, you want to put about, that's about half the amount of seasoning that I would normally put in there. Yes. So what I'm going to do to make sure it blends in nicely, I'm going to first, ooh, let me put the leaves of the thyme in as well. And you can cook this if you choose to. You can just start it off with you grate the carrot and start it off with the carrot, the scallion, the thyme, the garlic, and the seasoning, and you just let that boil and simmer for a while until it's soft. And but you grate the garlic first, yes, and then you add the sweet potato and the pumpkin. So I'm going to put this on here now and just blend it. Okay, so I'm going to just add, I think I might have put a little bit too much water in there because I might not, that was a salt. I might not get everything in. So I'm going to pour out a little bit of it so that I can get the sweet potato and the pumpkin in. Okay, I just added the salt. Let me find something to pour that in. So I'm just going to pour out a little bit of that. Can always add it later. That should work. Okay, so now I'm going to put the mixed seasoning in. Like last week, if you want to know what's in it, last week I showed you. So you could go, that's about half a teaspoon. You could go to the last week's video to see what is exactly is in that seasoning. So I'm putting in pumpkin and sweet potato, some more, oops, pumpkin, more sweet potato. And you know, pumpkin and sweet potato are great for eating raw. Yes, a lot of people are not aware that you can actually eat pumpkin and sweet potato in its raw form. Now, I'm going to put a little touch, this much, this much, of the pepper in. Yes, and like I said, the reason I'm doing that is because if I put any more, it might be, we might not be able to eat it because, oh, it was fine. Okay. Because the peppers and the seasonings are stronger when it's raw. Okay. So I'm going to blend this now. And when you blend, I know definitely in the Vitamix will, if you keep blending, the Vitamix will gradually warm up the food, but it won't take it beyond body temperature, which is where you start losing the enzymes in the food. Okay, so I'm going to let it blend to that stage until it's warm, and that should do it. Okay, so here we go again. Close your ears. there you are. We have pumpkin and sweet potato soup. And I'm going to show you the consistency there. There you go. It's quite thick. Yes. And I'm going to now sprinkle a little of the, I didn't realize that those few carrots and that would make so much for this one. I've made it for a while. Okay, so I'm going to put sprinkle a little nutritional yeast on there. I'm putting, well, this is, just do this to your own taste, really. And if it's not warm enough for you, you can continue to blend it and you will feel the outside of the blender. I don't want to let it run too long. I'm going to do it a bit more after we've done. But as it warms, you will feel the outside of the blender getting warmer and warmer. Okay, so that is our soup. That's a raw soup, like I said. I'm just going to I'm just tasting it now. And the pepper is just right in it, just a little bit. Of course, if you're giving it to your baby or your young child, you wouldn't put any pepper at all in it because you don't really want to put anything too strong on their taste buds. But this is a very excellent nutritional meal for young children. And if you're training your child to eat this way, then they're going to find this type of food just absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, you can warm it up. This isn't very warm because I don't want to leave it blending for too long. But this is gorgeous. This is a gorgeous soup. And you can either add coconut milk to it as well if you want to make it a little more runny and give it that extra oomph. In fact, I might just put some coconut milk in mine as well. Okay. And the nutritional yeast, if you can't get nutritional yeast, you can also grate some vegetarian cheese on it. Yes, because you don't want the lactose, the milk cheese. You can get vegetarian cheese that you can just grate a little over the top. Okay, so there is your pumpkin and sweet potato soup. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be eating as we go along. So you know you know. All right. So now I am going to go on to the presentation that I promised you. And this is called The Role of Nutrition in learning and behavior. Okay. Just give me a moment there. All right. Like I said, I used to give this presentation at schools mainly and parent-teachers meetings and things when I first started. Well, no, that wasn't when I first. This was some years ago. But like I said, it's still very, very pertinent for today because what was going on there is still going on today. And even more so. Okay. So the role of nutrition in learning and behavior. The role it is becoming increasingly difficult to be healthy. Yes, let's look at some of the things that are impacting our diet and very much impacting our health. Herbicides, pesticides, growth hormones, genetically modified organisms, radiation, electromagnetic radiation, heavy metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, um, aluminum, uh, all of these types of heavy metals are detrimental in our bodies. Empty calories. Most people are just eating foods that has no calorie value at all. We're living in a toxic overload, yes, which historically is worse than we have ever seen. And I've read somewhere where someone says most of the population of the world are fat, brainless, and sick. And that's because of what we are putting in our bodies, what we are living in, what's surrounding us. Um, Nutrition is a very, very strong determining factor in brain development, especially in children. It affects the ability of the brain to make new neural pathways. Research shows that the brain's chemistry is so variable that it can be modified by one single meal. Yes? Just one meal can actually affect the brain. You don't have to be piling it on. Yes? Imagine if you are piling it on, what would happen to the brain of the child, or to all our brains, really. It provides a link between nutrition. No, the link between nutrition and learning begins in the prenatal period, and I think I alluded to that last week, actually, which includes, I think I said, remember, it includes the health of the parents prior to conception. So, I think it was the week before, I talked about ancient Egyptian culture where the mother and father, when they decide to have a child, they had to go through a sort of initiation, and they had to learn about their bodies, and make sure that their bodies, their eggs were in good condition before they put them together to make a baby. And later on in life, many people are now choosing cow's milk or artificial milk rather than breast milk. I think I touched on that last week as well. Um, the breast milk contains critical nutrients, like I mentioned slightly last week. These include essential fatty acids, such as gamma linoleic acid, which is abundant in the breast milk, but it does not exist in cow's milk or in any of these artificial feedings. And research shows that babies raised on cow's milk are less intelligent. Yeah? Isn't that interesting? Researchers believe that the high level of omega-3 fats in breast milk may help explain the differences in IQ between children who received human milk in infancy and those who did not. Poor nutrition affects cognitive development. That's human perception, thinking, and learning. Poor nutrition affects um, all of these brain activities. This presents significant obstacles to learning for the child and for anyone, but particularly for the developing brain. Recent research shows that depression, it leads to depression and outbursts of violence. Generally, the brain is very delicate, especially in the newborn, and requires a balance of water, blood sugar, temperature, electrolyte, minerals, and, as I mentioned earlier, essential fatty acids, plus lots and lots of other nutrients. You can imagine it needs all of this. Imagine what our brain does for us and has to do. So take, for instance, iron. Yeah? Iron is a necessary part of brain tissue. Iron deficiency is associated with behavior changes and delayed psychomotor development. That's the ability to perceive instructions and perform motor responses. Now you can see why the children are having such problems in their learning. Yes. It causes anemia, leading to shortened attention span, irritability, fatigue, and difficulty with concentration. And consequently, anemic children tend to do very poorly on vocabulary, reading, and other tests. This is research that was done in 1989. A person called Parker came up with the results. Today's diet leads to low intelligence. So we are by not doing all we need to do to make sure that our children are getting the right foods to build their brains, we are actually causing their intelligence to be lower. They're not born with low intelligence for no reason. Yes. Lack of hydration interferes with the proper brain functioning. Breakfast of cow's milk, refined sugar, refined flour that you find in most cereals, and high fructose corn sugar that you find in most soft drinks, yeah, leads to a 30% drop in blood sugar, hypoglycemia. Yeah. And I was quite shocked recently when I was speaking to some teachers in a school, and they were telling me they had a bit of a problem with one of the students who just passed out in the playground. And once they got tested, they took her to the hospital, etc. They realized that she had hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. Yeah. So children are now suffering as a result of not getting, like I said, the right nutrition. It can also lead to moodiness, lack of concentration, even tendencies towards violent behavior, especially in male children. And I've heard some horrendous things recently about children in school. And these children, the last one I heard, a teacher said something to a child, and the child stabbed the teacher with a pencil. Yeah? And the children are being blamed for this behavior, but they can't help it. They're being blamed for this behavior, but their brain is not functioning the way it should because it doesn't have what it needs. Yeah? So other things such as excitotoxins, which are poisons such as aspartame, monosodium glutamate, most people know it as MSG, um, chlorine, fluoride in the water, etc. All of these things are having devastating effects on our children's brains. These substances I've just mentioned and a lot more are substances that overexcite the brain, causes the brain cells to fire rapidly and then just die off quickly within an hour. So when they eat these things in their diet, and it happens with adults as well, so you can imagine what it does for the child's brain. Yeah, it excites the brain cells, causes it to just fire rapidly and then die. Yeah? And this leads to what they call ADHD. Yeah? It can also lead to depression, violence, and later in life, it's also associated with Alzheimer's and other neurological problems. It's also actually triggered by those heavy metals I mentioned earlier. Brain functioning of children are especially susceptible to these destructive ingredients because the brain is still developing. In fact, I found out a while ago that we as human beings, our brains don't actually finish forming until we reach to about 25 years old. Yeah, so really we should be at home as children until we're 25, going on 30. That's when the brain finishes forming. So you can imagine the impact this kind of thing has on the very young brain. Yeah? Research shows that regular consumption of these things leads to alarming behavior changes in adolescence. Yeah? And it's described as hyperactive or short attention span and diagnosed as adolescent attention deficit hyperactive disorder, ADHD. We're hearing a lot about ADHD nowadays. Where has this just come from? Huh? This is where this has come from in our children. The children are unable to control themselves. And I remember a while ago, a grandmother brought her grandson to me. Um, this is some years now, and I'd just written a book of recipes. And she brought the grandson to me and she said, he is just so disruptive. He'd been expelled from school. He was 9 years old. Yeah. He's been expelled from school. His behavior is atrocious. The mother is now having a nervous breakdown. She's on drugs. The family, nobody wants to have him, and she's just in at the end of her tether. And I said to him, what's happened? What's wrong? And he was so meek and quiet. And he says to me, I don't know, miss, I don't know, I just feel like that. And that's how it is with the children. Nobody's ever asked them because people are blaming them for their behavior. Yes? And a lot of this stuff, and before I go on, I gave her that book I just written. I hadn't even edited it yet. I don't think I still have edited. Yes, edited now. It took me years to edit it. But I gave her the book and I told her, do not give him anything other than what is in the recipes in this book. And she took the book home, and in about, I would say about a week or less, she called me. She said, oh Lord of mercy, I just asked God to bless you. You know that he's changed. His behavior is changed so much. And I didn't believe that this could happen. And she said, oh Lord, I just bless you. I pray for you every day. But people don't realize the impact of nutrition on our children. Yeah. So a lot of children are now being treated with narcotic drugs. Yes, although studies also found a link between ADHD and what they call organophosphate fruit and vegetable. These are the things that the herbicides and pesticides that they spray on the fruit and vegetables. And now it's much worse, yeah, because they used to spray it on non-organic fruit and vegetables, and now or they've been given the by your leave to spray organic fruits and vegetables as well. Yeah. So, for instance, fresh strawberries, frozen blueberries, and all the fruits, the apples, yeah, the fruits and vegetables are being treated with these chemicals now. And there was an article that I came across back then, and it's still very pertinent today. It says in 2006, several reports of heart attacks and strokes in children taking ADHD drugs sparked concern in US and Canadian regulators. This led them to temporarily suspend marketing of ADHD drugs and a black box warning being added to some ADHD drugs. Yes? So this is a quote from another article entitled adolescent attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and susceptibility to adult psychosis. When treating adolescent attention deficit hyperactive disorder patients, the rare possibility of the development of schizophrenia, yeah, schizophrenia, uh, spectrum disorder from attention deficit hyperactive disorder like symptoms should be kept in mind. Yes, say no more. So, drugs are unnecessary. Yes? And studies in the UK show that a change in diet brings back normal behavior in days. Days in the children. A change in diet brings back normal behavior within days. And I have a quote here, another quote. Most children with ADD can either lessen their medicines or go off medicine simply by changing their diet. Dr. Sears told Ivanhoe. The brain, eh, more than any other organ, is affected for better or worse by what we eat. If a child is a junk food addict, his brain is the first thing that will be affected. And this was written in 2005, I believe, by the American Dietetic Association. They found that parents who provide a good example were more effective for their children. Yeah? So if you want to be effective for your child and to give them the best in life, yes, start in the womb or even pre-womb, yes, pre-conception, and start, like I said last week, for feeding yourself the healthy foods, and that will feed your child. And then when the child is out, then you know use what God gave us, the breast milk, if you possibly can, and and um, and from when you take them off the breast, do what I showed you last week. Just put a few vegetables together, put some green vegetables, some of the vegetables that I put together, even like this, the soup, and make your baby's food. And look at the rainbows, see what it is you're giving them. Hmm? I say you shouldn't eat and talk because you'll build up air in the digestive tract and cause problems. But this is a soup, so but don't follow me, don't eat and talk. So adolescents get as much as 30% of their dietary calories from junk food and soft drinks. So what can you do? What can you do? I've gone through quite a bit there for the past 3 weeks. This is the third week that I've been on this. And what I would suggest is that you take responsibility. Stop handing over the responsibility of your health and to other people, to whoever, the buying this stuff out there that works out to be a lot more expensive than if you grow a few vegetables around the garden and use those. And at least you're in charge. Eat organic, or I'm not even going to use the word organic anymore. Natural foods that have no chemicals on them. Eat, get rid of the refined foods from your diet. Get rid of the carbonated drinks, which contain these so-called soft drinks. They contain aspartame and stuff like that. What happened to what our grandmothers used to give us? Ginger drinks and fruit drinks like orange and lemon and some herbal drinks. I used to love lemongrass tea when I was growing up. There's so much out there that we could feed our children to give them the best that they could have in their health. Um, Reduce the fats. Yes, get rid of the animal fat. You can eliminate meat altogether and go vegan or vegetarian, or at least reduce it. uh, um, Make sure that your diet is high fiber. The child's diet is high fiber. Yes, look up the fiber foods and include high fiber in their diet so that their elimination system can continue to flow. No baby should have constipation. Yeah? Make sure they're drinking water, not just sodas and these things you buy out there. Make sure they're drinking water on a regular basis and make sure it's not water from the pipe. And if it has to be, then filter it. Yeah? There are lots of ways that you can filter out what is, well, at least some of what is in that water. In England, they say that the water that you get in the pipe has gone through at least 11 people before you are drinking it again. Right? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and it's often missed. Yes, and like I said, they're being fed things that, by the time they reach school, they're literally climbing the walls. Yes, they're climbing the walls because it's affecting their brain. Yeah? Give them some fruit or vegetable smoothies, oats, cornmeal porridge, yes? Oats porridge and blended oats and wholemeal bread. Yes? If you're going to give them, make breadfruit flour and make up your own bread and plant in flour and stuff like that. Use milk substitutes. One of the best things that you could use is coconut milk. And you can just buy a coconut and make that yourself. Yeah? And you've got all these other types of nut milks, almond, hemp, loads of them now you can actually buy out there in the health food stores. Yeah? Instead of giving them these sodas and buying tons of these sodas piling up in the fridge, just put the ginger in the blender with some water, turn it on, and you've got gingerade. Yes, you can sweeten that with the natural sweetener. In fact, I found this sweetener that I haven't seen for a long time. Is coconut sugar made from coconut, and it's another alternative to table sugar. It's low glycemic. That means that it's okay for people with diabetes, and they say it's sustainably harvested. That means it doesn't have any of the chemicals on it. So there's other types of sweeteners out there, and sweet things like grapefruit juice, lemon juice, lime juice, orange. When we were growing up, we were lucky that we didn't have a lot of money to buy all that stuff out there because we had to have what we were given. And these are the things we were given when we were growing up. We thought we were poor because my grandmother wasn't buying these sodas and things out in the shop. Yes, we had tea, Surrey tea and lemongrass tea and all these different types of tea. There's so many of them, mint and so many different types of herbs that we can use for teas here. And herbal teas doesn't even have to be taken hot either. You can make the tea, cool it down, bottle it, and put it in the fridge. And do the same with your grapefruit juice, your ginger tea, your lime and lemons, and bottle them and put them in the fridge. Get some of those little bottles so that they can take them to school in the morning and give them water to take to school in the morning. You can use one of the best sweeteners actually is the raw cane sugar. Yeah, the not sugar, the raw cane juice. Yeah, the you can I think there are people around who actually squeeze the cane and just bottle the juice, and that's one of the best sweeteners for your body. You can look at wholemeal flour instead of white flour and get rid of the dairy and take meat alternatives, because I know when children have gotten used to eating certain types of things, the alternatives that are out there can make up for the lack that they see. Yeah? Shop in the market, although, wow. What I found is that recently the markets are now selling all foods that have been sprayed with these chemicals, which is such a shame. They've been grown in the chemicals and sprayed with the chemicals, but there are some people out there you might find who are still doing um, the still doing the natural, growing their foods naturally. But you have to go and look for those people, find them, and make sure you buy from them all the time so that they can keep doing what they're doing. Excuse me. I know that my face is getting sweaty. It's getting hot. Um, so become familiar with labels. Yes, when you buy things in the supermarket, look at the labels. Anything that you see at the beginning of the list of things is the one that that is most prevalent in that whatever it is you're buying. So, for instance, if you pick up your label and you look at it, and the first thing it says is sugar, that means the majority of that food or whatever is sugar. Yeah. So, and then it goes down in quantity. So, if it says salt, then the main thing in it is salt. And they talk about vegetable oils, but vegetable oils, and they make it sound as though vegetable oil is healthy because of the word vegetable, but it isn't. Yeah. The best oils for you to use, I believe, I've got a whole list of oils that I give to people on my programs, but I would say to you, get the coconut oil, yes, and not the one that has been tampered with. Okay. And when I say look at the label, if you can't pronounce what you see on there, then don't get it, don't buy it. Yes. Like I talked last week about growing your own, utilizing your garden, your balcony, your window box, use sprouting. Some people have allotments if they live in places like England and America. Just be creative about how you get around having to feed yourself and your children a whole plethora of chemicals that the body just cannot handle. Okay, so that is it for today. And I hope that this is going to help you enormously in helping your child and children to to just change. The benefits that you will get from this is just enormous, because you will have a child that is more balanced, that is more intelligent, that is more calm, and you can handle that child better. Yes, you don't have to be running around going to the school all the time. If you practice these few things that I've suggested, it will make an enormous difference to your life as well as to that child's life. It will give them a better chance out there in the world. Okay, so we've got about 2 minutes now to do the meditation. So get yourself comfortable, and remember to like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share, and anything else out there that people do on social media. Um, so let me see if I've gone through everything with you. The recipes for today, I can't remember if I went through them, but we had sweet potato and pumpkin. They come in the orange part of the spectrum, the rainbow spectrum, and they contain beta carotene, which supports the immune system, and they're powerful antioxidants. The garlic comes in the white-green spectrum of the rainbow there, and garlic contains allyl sulfides, which destroys cancer cells, reduces cell division, and supports your immune system. So you've got a lot there going on with just those few vegetables in your meal. And I'm only mentioning a few things, but they also have lots of vitamins and minerals in them as well. Yes. And like I said, if you are still a bit skeptical about eating raw, then I suggest that you cook the food, because you'll still get some benefit from it. You'll just, once you've cooked it over body temperature, unfortunately, you will lose the enzymes, but it's still better than nothing at all. Okay? All right. So, like I said, contact me. You can go to the link in bio at Sickness to Success, as it's scrolling across the screen there. And you can call me on the discovery call, or book a discovery call, or book um, uh, um, consultation call, or you can call me on the phone, or you can send me an email, and I will respond to you, and we can go from there. And don't forget, if you want to put your name down for the ministry or for the academy, then please contact me, and I will also tell you more about that. And you're going to see a lot more of me. So keep watching. Next week, I will be here again as per usual. So keep watching. And now I'm going to go into this week's meditation. Okay, so make yourself as comfortable as you possibly can. And remember, for those of you who have been following me, take a nice deep breath. And remember, you're breathing into the bottom of your lungs, and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And as you breathe out, just allow your body to completely relax. Relax your body from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. And just allow your arms to rest on your lap, and just let them feel heavy and relaxed. Let your legs feel heavy and relaxed, wherever it is, on the floor, or if you're sitting up. And just take another deep breath. And as you breathe out, relax. This meditation is called O, for a tongue to express. O, for a tongue to express the wonders which thought reveals. O, for some word to comprehend the boundless idea. Would that some voice were sweet enough to sound the harmony of life. But within, in that vast realm of thought, where the soul meets God, the spirit knows. I will listen for that voice, and it will tell me of life, of love, of unity. Speak to me, Spirit. So just allow yourself to ponder on those words and see how they relate to you in your life. And you have a wonderful Sunday afternoon, or whenever it is you're watching this. And I will see you next week.